Hello and hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to more Rocket League news out there. Of course, discussing the most important topic out there as of the last 24 hours, that being Epic Games acquiring Psyonix, and with it, their title of Rocket League, which I do cover here on the channel. We talked about this yesterday when they first acquired it, and it was a huge topic of debate. You guys broke over 200 comments in that video, and it was great to see your guys' feedback, a lot of which was actually negative, so I thought I'd make a follow-up video for all of you discussing the possible pros and cons. If you guys want to leave another comment down below, I love to hear what you guys' thoughts are on the future, because there are a few misconceptions about the future of Rocket League and what things are going to happen, what we actually know as of right now and what we do not know. So feel free to leave your pros and cons in the comments down below, and maybe we'll at least have a discussion down there as to what you guys think are the good things about this and of course the bad things. So first we're going to touch on the pros, a much shorter list out there, and then the cons, which there's still a bunch of open questions on, because let's not deny it, in the FAQ of the original post by Psyonix, they really avoided most of the important questions. So the pros, a very short list, the first of which of course the huge influx of capital, whether it's through workers or straight up cash. The investment there is going to be present for the competitive scene. I think overall we've seen, I'm just going to show you guys a montage of competitive players out there who've responded to this in at least some way, and I would say overall the general gist of this is probably a pretty good thing for the competitive scene. I think most pro players, although a few complained here and there, a majority of them definitely were okay with this, and for good reason. When it comes to competitive prize pools, they are, for RLCS, still pretty sizable. For the DreamHack circuit, they're still pretty big. Besides that though, a lot of smaller events out there, events that also don't often pay for travel, so we'll see how that handles things, and I don't think it's going to help any teams out there have their travel paid for, but at least they'll have more of a prize pool to compete for, and it might be better worth it to actually invest for your team to travel for an event. Now besides that though, of course with that huge influx of cash comes possibly capital and of course people along with it. If we're going to assume a bigger team will be working on Rocket League, if this is true, performance issues, bugs, that kind of thing, response time should be better, but again, that's one of the many open-ended questions we do not know about. Yes, they're going to receive a bunch of money. Will they put that money towards human capital is a whole nother topic. And also very lastly, two tiny pros out there, because they're almost halfway pros. If you guys want to again leave your comments down below, I'm super curious what you guys think about this, because we've seen so much overwhelming negativity. I want you guys to back it up and leave your list of pros and cons so I can know how you guys think about this kind of thing. But kind of halfway pros here for my last two, the first of which, no immediate changes, likely until the end of 2019, when supposedly they're going to take it off Steam for be able to be purchased. A huge clarification, this will still be supported on Steam, so if you buy it on Steam, you'll still be supported for Linux users. We'll touch on that in a bit here. So no immediate changes is kind of a big pro for me, at least, because if it was immediate, we're going to see immediate backlash. Immediate could be big changes, and they could be terrible changes. So we have many months ahead of us to try and figure out, or at least Psyonix does, to try and figure out what they want to do and what roadmap they want to take. And also very lastly, a kind of a semi-pro, because we might not see the effects, because I think a majority of us are PC or console users. It could be more cross-platform opportunities for the game altogether. Now we all know Epic Games and their cash cow of Fortnite is the only universally cross-platform game in existence currently in esports, besides Rocket League, but universally being Fortnite because they go to other devices. Rocket League of course has PC, Xbox, PS4, but could they go to other devices out there under the control of Epic Games is certainly possible. So you and me, we might not see that benefit exactly, but it will benefit the game in general, which I think is the problem with most of these pros I've said so far. Besides, having a bigger team and more money, it definitely helps the competitive scene. We don't know how these bug fixes, performance issues will be fixed, and if they will be any better than they were before. So as of right now, a lot of these pros are kind of hidden or kind of unanswered. But I will say for the cons list as well, it's kind of the same way. A lot of unanswered things. We don't really know the future of this, so we'll have to see how it really plays out. I will say though, the one by far and away biggest con of this transformation from the Steam store to the Epic store, although I want to clarify one huge thing, this will still be supported for all Steam users. If you guys have currently bought this game on Steam, you will be supported throughout. It will continue to be supported on Steam, just not available for purchase on Steam. Once they take it off Steam purchase wise and move it to the Epic Game Store, it'll then be supported by their engine. But before I get into that as well, unfortunately one of the biggest cons is going to be Linux users, that being PC users who also use Linux. Unfortunately enough, going to be the biggest con here, but it should also be for all future Linux users. I do believe if you're going to have a Steam copy, it's still going to be supported by Steam as well. Linux users should be fine, but for sure all future users who then have to buy it off the Epic Game Store, that's not going to be Linux supported, because that Epic Game Store does not support Linux users, which does pretty much mean, TLDR, all future PC users who use Linux, who do not buy the game on Steam, once it's not on Steam anymore for purchase, are going to be greatly affected by this and will not be able to play. And the next biggest thing I would say is the second big con on the list is going going to be data leaks or data breaches. If any of you guys have played Fortnite over the past year or two, I'm sure you guys have probably seen this email because I've received this countless times. The amount of security breaches for Epic accounts have been pretty extreme, to say the least. It's been a very frequent problem. And when it comes to Collegiate Rocket League, many of us know this. They have their own series every single year as well. On top of that, taken off massively over the past 12 to 18 months. And what we've seen so far in the forums is Collegiate Rocket League may not even take the risk on it, the Epic Games Store version, if it's going to risk as well their students' data or their data being leaked. It could be a big security breach, especially for a university to take on that risk as compared to Psyonix. You know, they're not having near as many issues when it came to security breaches. That is certainly something to take into account. But I think also, very lastly, when it comes to the most important cons, at least on the list as well, it's going to be overall the way creative control is taken once Psyonix actually hands over this majority ownership. Will it be Epic Games in control, or will it be Psyonix still having their hand on the game? I think it's likely to be Psyonix, but if it's not, we're going to have huge issues. So that's kind of a halfway con, because I think we can all agree, we probably know that Psyonix is just being bought out here. You know, we're probably going to have Epic Games buy out Psyonix because they want to milk that cow a little bit. I think they'll retain the creative control to Psyonix, and so the game should be run the same exact way. But if that does come to an end, right, if all of a sudden Epic Games wants to reap their investment back faster and they take over creative control of the game, we already have Rocket Pass, we already have the Esports store, we already have tons of skins and cows and so on and so forth. If Epic Games goes and all of a sudden shells out skins on skins on skins, which they do with Fortnite, I can see an immense amount of backlash, not only with security wise, the way they run their games, but very lastly as well, if they do take creative control. And again, this is a very far-fetched thing. I think Psyonix will retain that creative control, but if Epic does that, besides security, besides of course, you know, shelling out skins on skins to reap their benefits back, along with that, the most important issue I would have is the frequency and the bug-filled updates that Fortnite has had as compared to Rocket League. Yes, Rocket League has less frequent updates, less important updates, but it's definitely less bug-filled compared to Fortnite, as any game is. So I would be very concerned to have an Epic Games staff all of a sudden running this game and wanting to put out weekly updates for the first time ever, but also meta-changing updates and tons of skins here and there. There are many issues I can see with this, but if it is to happen, we just don't know. So is it going to be a major con? Probably not, but could it be in the future if Epic Games takes creative control? I certainly could see that happening. And then very lastly, some semi-cons out there I do not think should actually be an issue. It comes to trading, the economy scene out there. Of course, the trading scene, a big portion of Rocket League success as well. That should be unaffected. Yes, you're going to have Epic Games version and Steam version. Those are only the platforms though you use to launch the games. Once the games are actually launched, that economy should remain the same. As far as I'm aware of, if you guys know of something, please let me know. But the economy, the trading should be the exact same. You should be able to trade between an Epic Games account and a Steam account. They should be cross-supported. If I am incorrect, please correct me down below. But for all of you guys who are worried about your trading scene, it should still be well and alive. And along with that as well, with that being said, account progress should also carry over. I highly doubt to a 99% degree, and again, if I'm wrong, I should give you guys some sort of giveaway, but your account progress should be saved as well and should also be supported on both accounts. And thus being said as well, if you're going to make a brand new Epic Games account, yes, your account progress will be reset, but if you keep your same Steam supported account, your progress will also stay the same as it should, and I'm fairly certain on that. I've seen many complaints about that, but those should not be the overall issues you're actually worried about. So a quick summary as well of the pros and cons, and one last time, if you guys can leave your list down below, I'm super curious what you guys think about this. The overall pros for competitive are undeniable. The overall pros for potential bug fixes, performance issues, response times, they should be increased and they should be better off in the future, although we do not know exactly what that might be. And the cross-platform possibilities, they could be endless, although it's not going to affect you and me. It's a general overall positive for the game itself. And when it comes to negatives, security breaches, data leaks, too many skins, and along with that as well, I guess a few other things amidst that on top of it. And the fact that all future Linux PC users are going to be affected by this are my main issues. And besides that, I think the lists they should be pretty short for both pros and cons. But overall, when I give it a general eye, as long as I think it meets one criteria, if Epic Games stays away, if Epic Games invested into Psyonix and bought them out just to have a little cash cow on the side they can milk and make a bit of profit on eventually way in the long-term future, but Psyonix retains creative control, this should be all for the better of the game. And we'll see how it works out though over the next year or so, because it could have major effects. And I am a little bit worried about this, but generally my overall general feeling is a positive thing for the future of Rocket League is this buyout. It gives us more money to use with, more money to benefit the game itself, and it should overall increase players if all goes to plan and nothing goes wrong. But as always, my name is Jake. I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode of Rocket League / Esports News. And until next time, guys, I will be back here every single day breaking down some news for all of you. So if you guys did enjoy, maybe I'll see you later. But until then, take care.